Hey everyone, and welcome to the DealMachine Real Estate Investing Podcast. Today's episode, we are going to walk you through 7 reasons why people want to sell their homes. There's many different things that we can cover in terms of why people are motivated to sell and what you need to look for as a wholesaler to secure that deal. My name is Ryan Haywood. Back in 2019, I left my 9-to-5 job and I started wholesaling real estate. And in 14 days, I secured my first deal. Since then, I've gone on to do over 420 transactions.
One of the reasons why I love wholesaling, Ryan, is because you quit your job and within 2 weeks, you had done your first wholesale deal making $8,500, right? You didn't have to buy a property. You didn't have to wait for the property to appreciate. You didn't have to rent it out. You just found a rundown house and somebody who is truly motivated to sell at a discount, which is key. I've actually helped people close 10,000 wholesale deals across the country in all 50 states with the software platform I created called DealMachine. My name is David Lecko. We're so excited on this episode to tell you 7 scenarios we've encountered that people actually wanted to sell us their home knowingly at a huge discount and how we were able to profit from those. So we've gotten one question from SRT Eddie. Eddie, we'd love it for you to join us, man. Click that link and hop on in here with us. So what are the requirements to join wholesaling? That's what Eddie wants to know. There's not any requirements, man. No. You basically just find a rundown house, you get it under contract, and then you pass it off to an investor, and they pay you an assignment fee, which first deal, $5,000. The key is you're finding somebody who's got a rundown house and then urgently needs to sell their house. So a few examples. I'm going to walk through about 4 or 5 examples of my exact deal. So my very first house, it was sitting on the market for 120 days. Like nobody was buying it. So then I just made an offer for like 70% of their list price. They accepted it. My second deal, I sent around postcards. I found a house with a tarp on the roof. The guy called me back 7 months later. Not always right away, but after 7 months, that house was run down. Then he had surgery. That was the actual tip of the iceberg. The first domino, so to say, that made him be like, oh, yeah, I got to get out of here. And he can't sell that house with a tarp on the roof. Nobody's going to qualify for a loan to buy that house. So he wanted speed and convenience. That's when I came in with a cash offer. He accepted it. So once you're at that stage, then what you could do is you go to real estate meetups and say, I got this deal under contract. Who wants to buy it that's fixing and flipping houses? Somebody buys it for you for $10,000 more than you got under contract. You make the $10,000 assignment fee at closing. You never pay to close on that house. You just make the assignment fee. So those are 2 examples of like an urgent situation where the person preferred speed and convenience. Another one was, I bought this house for $44,000 and it took $70,000 to fix it up, but then it was worth $120,000 afterwards, right? So there's $40,000 of meat on the bone there, where once I had another contract for 44, I could have passed it. I could have brought it to that investor meetup again and be like, hey, I've got this house, really great deal. Will you guys buy it for $55,000? Then I make $11,000. So those are 3 examples of why somebody would want to be selling their house to you at a discount. It's like the house is run down, and then also something in their life happens where they just really need to get rid of it. That house in particular was owned by the 2 elderly people, and they passed away, and so the son needed to settle debts on their estate within 30 days. So definitely didn't have time to fix it up, probably didn't have the money to fix it up, but he needed the cash from selling the house to go settle some other debts that they had. So that's another reason why somebody bought that house. And then there's a house 2 doors down the entire time, like 5 months. I was like working on this house, going back and forth to meet with the son of the owners. And then also to do work on it, because I actually did work on it. I didn't wholesale this one. A tree had fallen in the yard on the house 2 doors down. And for like 3-4 months, I'm looking at it, nothing. Nobody's fixing anything. It's just getting worse. The tree fell and it damaged the roof, the gutter. So then that water from the rain was making a mess of the landscaping, pouring out because it didn't have a gutter to route it away. What I did was what's called like a skip trace. It's basically like what a private investigator would do to look up somebody's phone number, a property owner's phone number. So the information about who owns the property is public. but you can't get their phone number. So if they've moved, there's no way to get in touch with them unless you get their phone number. So I pulled open an app, something we offer in DealMachine, and you get their phone number. So I called her. I said, hey, did you know the tree fell in your house? I own the property 2 doors down, or I'm working with the homeowner 2 doors down. She was like, oh my God, I didn't know. I've been living 2 hours away, and I've been helping my daughter who recently got divorced and had a baby. So she lives 2 hours away in Columbus, Indiana. I had no idea this was happening. Oh my God, like, what am I going to do? I said, no problem. If you want, I was like, I could take care of everything. If you actually are trying to move by your daughter, you don't even have to fix this. Like, I could just give you a cash offer as is. And she ended up asking me for that offer. I figured $65,000 was the most I could pay. So she ghosted me for like a week. But then I gently and friendly followed up, said, hey, do you still want to sell your house? And then out of nowhere, she's just like, yes, let's do the deal, right? She had to think about it. She didn't want to talk with me for a little bit. But then she said, yes, let's do the deal. I was like, great. You can leave trash in the house. You can leave anything. That way she could just focus on being with her daughter. And then she had that cash to go find another place to live. And it really solved the headache problem for her when she was in an urgent situation. So those are 4 examples of why somebody would want to sell a house, run down to you. Oh, wait, there's one more I want to tell you about. So there's a recent one. You could pull this list on the county website, and it's for people who did not pay their property taxes in the prior year. So if you think about who didn't pay their property taxes, why wouldn't they pay their property taxes? 1, maybe they just forgot. That's happened to me once before. 2, maybe they're having financial trouble. That's actually somebody who would need your help potentially. So I got a call from an orthodontist out of state. He said, yeah, I own this house. I bought it 2 years ago for $200,000. But the guy I was going to partner with to fix it up, AKA his contractor, went MIA. So I've never been to the house. I don't even know what's wrong with the house. I don't think it's livable. I think it's just like bare bones. He said, I'd love to sell it for $180 because that's what I owe on the loan. And I said, let me take a look. Called him back. The most I could pay is $160. So he said, okay, that's fine. Let's just do the deal. It's been a huge headache. I will bring $20,000 to the table to close that deal and pay my back taxes. So that's another reason that it's kind of a head scratcher at first, right?
Yeah.
But if you're a wealthy orthodontist and you got this thing just sucking cash, sucking value from your net worth, it's not a big deal to you because he probably makes maybe $500,000 a year. I don't know what an orthodontist makes. They make good money. So he doesn't want this headache anymore. He's been pulling his hair out for 2 years. And so that was a way I was able to solve for him. He actually had a few more deals. I hooked him up with my contractor. I was like, hey, you can sell those other deals to me for a loss as well, but I'll also just try to help you out. Here's my contractor. And latest I heard, my contractor definitely did one deal with them. I didn't hear if they sold it or not, but I know he was appreciative, and I was able to give him some value, not only to provide speed and convenience, but, help him out with some boots on the ground that was trustworthy. So those are 5 reasons why somebody would actually want to sell their house to you for a discount.
Hey guys, if you know you want to quit your job in the next 3 months, make sure you're subscribed to this podcast because we've got some incredible frameworks with step-by-step instruction that you're not going to want to miss. Also, leave us a rating and review to let us know your favorite parts and why you want to get financial freedom.
Ryan, what are some reasons that you're familiar with?
Yeah, I think that we deal with a lot of distressed landlords here. One thing that happens often in the rental game is that you have what's called turnover. And turnover can be a very expensive experience. If you have a tenant go in and wreck a house after maybe you've only had them in there for 3 months, and they go in and they destroy the house, and you're going to have to potentially put $10,000, $15,000 that you don't have into the house to get it fixed back up so that you can rent it again. You are what we would explain as a distressed landlord. You don't want to do it, or you don't have the ability to do it. So that could be another motivator to, hey, I need to get this property off of my head and move on with it. A lot of times we will even run across not so distressed landlords, but maybe landlords that are looking to get out of the game, looking to retire. They may have a handful or a portfolio full of properties. They're not maybe like falling down distressed, or even the worst in the worst shape, but they're in the kind of shape that they'd be willing to take a discounted price to move on with those properties. We find that often. So tired landlord, distressed landlord, those are two big ones that we run across in our market quite often.
Awesome. Yeah, tired landlord would be somebody, and I'll say in DealMachine, you could filter all this data. So you could actually pull a tired landlord list. And so that really just means somebody who's owned the property for like 15 years, because a lot of landlords buy properties and they don't do anything with them. So that means they've aged 15 years and haven't been updated.
Yep.
So just so you know, when you're filtering those lists that say tired landlord, that's really what it means. And it's just playing off the fact of most landlord behavior, which is like, well, they don't update their houses very frequently. And after 15 years, it's probably run down. The tenant quality that they're able to attract with an out-of-date house has probably gone down as well.
Yep.
Meaning that it's causing more engagement. You know, it's requiring more engagement with them because I don't want to say lower end, but I'll say like lower price rentals typically have tenants that require more attention, right? I notice that like the higher end rentals, which is kind of what I try to aim for, are easier to maintain, and the residents that live in them are a little bit more like self-sufficient, if you will. And so that's one thing I've noticed. So anyway, that's why the tired landlord exists. That's what it is data-wise, in case you're curious. That's why it's important to actually reach out to that as one of your lists that you're reaching out to. Ryan, why did you start when you were starting investing, why did you start driving for dollars? Like, why didn't you start with a tired landlord list?
Well, part of the easiest answer is because I started a 30-day wholesaling challenge that was based around driving for dollars. Now, hindsight, why was that better than pulling a list? Well, driving for dollars was something that was unique. It was a list that was unique to me. I was out there driving past houses that had boarded up windows, that had tall grass, that the roof was in bad shape, that had tons of debris in their yard, their mailboxes were full. I was seeing all of that stuff live and in person versus pulling a list that honestly several other people are pulling too, and you're the level of competition with everyone that if you're working off lists, everyone else is working on those lists. Versus driving for dollars is your list. Nobody else has that exact list. Nobody else has the exact criteria that you might be looking for. Maybe you're not looking for the one that's about to fall down. Maybe that's not something you want to waste your time with. Maybe you're just looking for houses that have old roofs. Maybe that's just you. I would prefer something to this level because I don't want to deal with the house that's almost caving in. So it's a unique list to you. It's yours. You went out and seen it. You put it together versus the other lists where it's a vacancy list or a absentee owner. Everybody's pulling those lists as well. They're all sending same kind of materials that you're sitting in. It's a competition on basically who's going to answer the phone first and get on site first. So I'm a big favor of just being a little bit different than the competition. To me, driving for dollars is still the best way to do it. It's still the fastest way to find a distressed property is to go out there and drive around.
Thanks for listening to the DealMachine Real Estate Investing Podcast. Please leave us a review and follow along wherever you're listening to your podcast.